Hello, yes, I might look a little weird, but I don't really care about that and never did. Also, for the YouTube algorithm, I do have pins on. So, um, someone has asked me recently, what is the dark magic you've been copy pasting for the past two videos? So I guess I'll go over it and explain a little bit what this actually is. So, this is a bootloader, as stated in the first comment. A bootloader is actually probably the most essential piece of code for your computer, because without that, it's not going to be able to boot and just restart indefinitely. So what purpose this actually serves is to tell your computer, hello, there is something you can boot onto, please do so. Now, what actually is important for a bootloader, we're going to remove this and go over it. We'll go over it later. I forgot to copy it, didn't I? Okay, no I didn't. Good. So, this is actually all that's important for a bootloader. First is bit 16. Bit 16 is to tell the compiler that this code is in 16 bits. Why? Because actually all computers nowadays, CPUs to be exact, all CPUs due to retrocompatibility will start in 16-bit mode, also called real mode. And in order to actually change that, you have a lot of steps to go through if you want to change to 32 or 64 bits. But initially, whenever your computer turns on, when you press the power button, it's going to be in 16 bits. Now, the second instruction is also very important. This is the start in memory, the origin, that's what it stands for. The origin in memory where your code is to be found, this little piece of code right here. So this never changes. Every single computer will be looking at this specific address in memory in order to find a bootloader and then proceed to load whatever else you need. If you don't start at this address, your computer simply won't be able to find any code and run anything. It's going to go ahead and restart indefinitely. So this over here is also important. This is padding, because a bootloader needs to be exactly 512 bytes. 512 bytes is almost nothing. To be fair, if you do a little drawing in Paint and save it, it's definitely going to be more than 512 bytes. So this is incredibly small, and in order to put proper code in here, you have to be careful about what you choose to do or not do. And lastly, another very, very important, just as much as the start in memory, another very important concept is that at the end of the 512 bytes, the last two need to be reserved for this. So the before last byte is going to be AA, and the last one is 55. This is the boot signature. This is what tells your computer that even if there is code in this address, this is bootable code, and you should use this to actually start onto. Now, this technically is all you need for your computer to be able to turn on and tell you, okay, there's something I can boot on. But it won't do anything more than that. So you'll just have a dark screen with a blinking cursor. If you want to actually do more than that, then you have to use the remaining 512 bytes available to you to add more assembly code. So this is the entirety of what I've been copy-pasting in the previous two videos. The magic of editing. I now have a shirt on because I had to go get pizza. So let's look at what this code actually does. Here actually, this part is what is setting up the stack. The stack is extremely important in assembly. It's an area in memory in which you will be storing data for your program to use. So every time you call a function, whenever you have variables in a higher level language, you can declare them prior to your function or within that function. The stack will actually be containing both of those. Those declared prior will be before the stack pointer, which points to an area on the stack, So those declared prior will be before, and the variables declared within your function will be after the stack pointer. But both are within the stack. This is the area where you can store data, so variables, strings, anything you want. Here, this first part actually sets the data segment, so that's the pointer to where your data is stored, and the extra segment, so the offset. And then we choose the start of our stack and put it onto the stack segment. This effectively makes it start at that address due to the way it's computed. Technically, it would be the address 8000 that we actually set up here. But then it's multiplied by the bits, so we're in 16-bit right now, so multiplied by 16, plus the offset, and we set the offset to be 0, so this actually gives us this right here. And we end the stack right before what would be this address. So this gives us quite a bit of space, which allows us to store data, variables, stuff like that. Afterwards, we're clearing the direction flag, because sometimes when your computer turns on, it's going to set up some flags by itself, and you want to make sure that this is going in the proper direction, because the strings are going to be read that way. So this makes it go left to right instead of right to left. Afterwards, we push the flags onto the stack to effectively keep them, and we reset the disk system. Now, interrupts are also a crucial part of assembly, but they're provided to us by the BIOS, basic input-output system, which, as its name implies, has basic functionalities for us to use. So, for example, int 10h would be the one that's used to set the display mode. So either you put it to text or very cheap VGA graphic modes. But here we're using 13h, which is the one that is used to access the disks on your computer. And what we're asking by moving 0 here is please reset it. After resetting it, what we're doing here is fairly self-explanatory by the comments and the title. But what we're doing is to read a sector into an address in memory, so that we can later jump to that address in memory and execute what was read from the disk. So here we configure the different parameters we need before calling the int13h function again to access the drives. So for example, into AH we set 02, which is read sectors from drive. This tells the int13h what we want to do, because we could also be trying to write, but that's not what we're doing here. So we try to read sectors from drive, we try to read only one of them, and we try to read the second one, because the first one is actually the part where we have our bootloader right here. So we try to read the second sector from the disk that we started onto and set it into this area in memory, so that we can later jump to this and run whatever is contained within that second sector. So then we call int13h again in order to actually do that whole operation, which should, if everything goes right, should, as we just said, load whatever code we have into this address right here. Assuming it worked, then the carry flag will not be set. The carry flag is a flag that's used to tell you, hey, did the last operation you tried to do actually work out, or did it mess up? If it messed up, the carry flag will be set, and if it worked out, it won't be set. So here, if the carry flag is set, we do a jump to boot failure. Boot failure is right here. So we jump here and halt. Halt, effectively just stopping the CPU from doing anything else because we didn't manage to read from the disk. Now, this is not a good way to go for a bootloader. Technically, you would want to retry in order to actually manage to boot. Giving up is not really an option. But this as I said, is a very simple bootloader and it's only for testing purposes for our editor. But here, so if there's been a failure, we just stop here, hold the CPU and do nothing else. But if there has not been a failure, and we manage to read our sector into this address, we're going to want to pop the flags. So this is actually going to return every single flag in the state they were when we saved them here onto our stack. We had saved them previously, and then we restore them before jumping to the address in memory in which we loaded our second segment or our second piece of code. And whenever we jump to that piece of code, we'll be able to actually execute it. So these two instructions right here are actually totally useless because they're never going to be read anyways. I don't even know why I had put those there. So yeah, there we go. This is what I've been copy pasting. This is the dark magic I've been using. It's a bootloader. It's just a little piece of code that tells your computer, hey, I'm here, please load onto what this is. And inside of it, I set up an array in memory to store variables onto. Make sure that the strings will be read in the proper direction. Reset the disk. Load a second sector from the disk into this address in memory and jump to that address to load the second stage bootloader or the kernel, depending on what you choose to actually insert in here. So there you go. This explains the dark magic I've been copy pasting for the last 2 episodes. It's simply just enough code to tell your computer, hey, I exist, please load something, and later on load something else. That's what we're doing. And this is really not optimal. It could be improved in many ways, which we will be doing right when we're finished with our assembly editor. We'll be creating a much better version of this so that we can actually start our operating system properly. So thanks for watching. Take care.